Occasionally, you'll have the need to export out your Revit drawings in a format that people that are using other kinds of CAD software can leverage and use. To do this, you need to find the big R, which is the Applications menu in the upper left-hand side of the screen. Find the word Export, highlight over it, and then move over into this area. These are all different formats of kinds of files that you can export out. The kind I'd like to do today is going to be a CAD format and a DWG file. This is an AutoCAD drawing file. By the way, I want to point out that there's also a DXF option, which is sort of a generic drawing file. It's considered a drawing exchange format. And if for some odd reason the person you're trying to submit these drawings to does not take DWGs, almost everybody does, but if they don't, you may try a DXF. Another kind of file that it can do is DGN files. These are MicroStation files. So if you know a MicroStation user, you can export this out and have them be able to use this as well. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select on the DWG file. And this brings up the DWG export dialog box. And you'll find that the majority of these other file formats that you could export out to have a very similar dialog associated with them. The first thing I'd like to do is come over here to where it says Export. And we can see it says Current View and Sheet Only. This means that the current view that I have open is going to be the only one that it can export out. I don't really like this, and ultimately I will be picking In-Session View and Sheet Set, but I do want to mention that there is an option here and it says Set 1. Well, Set 1 isn't actually a default option. This is one of those plotting sets. So when you came in and set up your printing so that you only print out certain sheets, this will allow you to export out those sheets as DWG files in order to share them with other people. In this case, though, I just want to click on In-Session View Sheet Set. This will give us the Show and List option. And from here, I'm going to pick all views and sheets in the model. So this will give us a list of every view, every sheet that exists inside of this Revit project. And you can put check marks next to anything you want to print. If you want to print multiple things, just put multiple check marks. From there, I'm going to click on Next. I'm just going to leave it at the default, which is just the floor plan level 1. Where do you want to save it out to? You can choose whatever directory you'd like to put it in, then give it a name that seems appropriate for that kind of project. After that, there's an option here for files of type. AutoCAD in particular has many different file versions. Here it has AutoCAD 2000, 2004, 2007, 2010. What this means is you can export out that Revit information to that AutoCAD format. And then ultimately by clicking on OK, it'll create a DWG file named whatever you've named here, and then you can send those out. If it's more than one, you can send more than one out. Now there's one other thing that I wanted to show to you. To show that, I'm just going to click on Cancel to this. I don't really want to export this out. There's a button right here that I kind of skipped over, and it's called Modify Export Setup. If you select on that, this is going to give you the Modify DWG DXF Export Setup dialog box. What it does is it has individual categories. Almost think of these as being layers from AutoCAD, except these are those Revit objects. Next to it, there's information called Layer. That means that you're going to take that Revit object, export it out to that layer, and have that color. If you want to change the layer, you can click inside of the dialog box. You can retype in a different layer name. You can type in a different color. But it's going to export out that information to that layer to that color. Also, after setting all this up, I do want to point out that there are export layer options right here. You can export out this information so that the layers are set up correctly. And then underneath that, there's an option there that says Load Layers from Standards. You can save this information out so that you have your own standards file. So if you need to use this again and again and again, you can. Also, you could use one of these standards that come with it, and there's 4 major ones: the AIA standard, ISO standard, Singapore standard, and British standard. And if you pick on one of these instead, I'm just going to say yes to this. It will relabel all these layers and give those new color identities based on the one that you picked. Tell it, yes, it's okay to override the information. And even though we didn't see a major change there, it would have overridden the information associated with each of those objects and the appropriate layer. And I'm going to click on OK to that. So to export this out to DWG file, All you need to do is come up to the Applications menu, which is the big R, go to Export. You're going to export out to a DWG file, and then pick which drawings you want to export out, choosing which settings that you want to use to make that conversion from a Revit object to an AutoCAD layer. Click on Next to tell it what the name of this file should be, and then click on OK to export that out as a DWG file that you can then send off to whoever needs it.